I want to welcome our guest, Cam McCasland from NECAT. He's going to talk about what he does over at NECAT, what they do, how they function in the world, and whatever else is on his mind. The floor is his. So I want you guys to give your attention to Cam. If he asks questions, I want you guys to participate, and let's welcome him to our class, and let's have a great Friday and send you into with a good weekend. So Cam, the floor is yours.
All right. Good morning, fellas. Again, I'm Cameron McCasland from NECAT. That's Nashville Educational Community Arts Television. We run 3 channels here in Nashville. If you guys have Comcast, we're channels 9, 10, and 19. I always tell people we're basically right before where ESPN pops up. We do a lot of programming as far as like teaching people how to make stuff, showing, just different art forms, whether it be music, short films, all kinds of different stuff. And then access, we let people come into our studio, make their own talk shows and things like that. I know a couple people that are in the class today have visited us before and got a chance to to look at that program a little bit. I want to tell everybody else in the class, you also have that same opportunity. One of the things that we're doing right now is offering scholarships and membership to all of the high school classes that we're meeting with. That's all through Ascend Federal Credit Union. They're paying for that. So right now, our studio is not open. We're kind of the same situation you guys are in that you're having to work from home and I'm having to work from home. But what we've kind of set up, because we don't know when all this is going to be back together, is anyone that's in this class, if you decide that you want to come down the road and take one of our adult learner classes over the summer, or whether it be evening class, weekend, whatever, that's available to you. You can reach out to me. You can always find me on our website. It's necatnetwork.org, or you can email me at cameron@necat.org. Or if you get in touch with your teacher, he's got my contact info. He can put you in touch. And again, like if you decide you want to come down and make a TV show, use the studio, we've got a couple days of classes that we put you through, show you how to use everything. And once you do that, you can book the studio and make whatever it is you want, and we'll run it on our television station and kind of teach you how to make things. It's a really good opportunity, especially for people that are in high school, I think, because you get some hands-on training. So I take it, since everyone's in this class, like you guys are studying how to make video content. Can someone give me a reason why you want to do that? You guys have plans for the future? Anybody?
No, you're cutting. Sorry.
I would say, what is there, like, you're making video content? Is there something you want to do in the future where you make video?
For me, no. I'm more maybe in the visual side, like
Okay.
what you see in performances. I do like the visual type stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this, like, kind of what I know is right now, everything is moving towards video, and that can be seen by exactly what we're doing right now. A whole lot of the way you guys are doing classes is how you're probably going to be doing job interviews in the future, the way that you're going to be talking to friends and family members. The telephone, as we know it, has changed so much. When I was a kid, it was something that hung on the wall. You had to go pick it up, and it was connected to a cord. As it moved along, it went to being something that you could carry around, and now it's like a full-fledged computer that has a high-definition video camera on it. And the truth of it is, no matter what business you're going into, video can help how people perceive you in the world, and it's going to shape just the way perception is. So can I ask any of you guys, do you guys have TikTok accounts or Instagram accounts, or do you watch people that have those things?
Yeah, I have an Instagram account.
Okay, right on. So even that, like if you're looking down, if you think about like how Instagram, even in the last couple of years, you're seeing more video content there. It kind of started out as a photo site, and then they added video content probably about 3.5 years ago, and now that's kind of overtaken it because that's how people are, putting their stuff out there. So kind of part of what we're doing over at NECAT is like, we're still making classic television in the way that it has been made for the last 50 or 60 years, but we're also teaching people how to do better versions of that kind of stuff. And just, things like framing and editing, all that stuff transfers from one to the other. So, I really want you guys just to be thinking about like how that's going to, impact your future. Outside of like your performance thing, what do you really want to do whenever you get out of high school?
Full-time music producer.
Full-time music producer. Okay. So I can tell you, like, that's how I got to Nashville. I played in bands and things like that. I was talking to you guys before the recording started. I grew up in Texas, graduated high school there, kind of came to Nashville to work at a company did some recording stuff and also just kind of did some management, touring with bands and things like that. And my job kind of flipped over pretty quick into being a filmmaker. I always had an interest in movies and things like that, but I had a roommate who had a band that did okay. They needed a music video, and I wanted to direct something, and like we made that. It got on MTV back when that meant something, and it turned into a career for me where like I figured out real quick like I could stay connected to music through making video content. And since then, like I've done a lot of stuff here in town with country music, acts like that. But I've also been able to like connect with things that like a lot of underground rock and roll music that I really enjoyed. I've been able to put videos together for bands. It's like it's really interesting to see how that kind of comes together. The other thing that I did is like I went down to Austin, Texas. It's been a couple of years back, and I shot a documentary for a band on the whole making of their album. It's like, and the thing about being in Nashville is there's so much opportunity for that, because after I made that one, I made one here in town that ended up airing on CMT. And so if you're into music, it's kind of video is a good way in as far as like meeting people. Now, I want you to follow whatever it is you're trying to do. Like you obviously, you probably have a plan for after school. Are you going to Belmont? Is that your plan?
No, it's too expensive for me. I'm going
Okay, right on.
an institute that's literally Music Row. So,
which one?
SEA.
SEA. Yep. So I've got friends that have gone to SEA. That's the thing. Like between SEA, Belmont, and MTSU, they've all got really good programs for that. All of those schools funnel out, people into all these different jobs. Kind of what I know though is while you're doing that, if you've got any kind of prowess at video, a lot of times you can get in those rooms and start doing those, basically start making videos for bands, start making documentaries for these acts that are, doing these other things, because you will start meeting people, and it kind of puts you in a better position as you get on the other side of school to have a group of people that you can lean on and say, hey, what if we did this together? We made this, you already know me, you know what I'm about. So just think about how that, content, even if, if you go into being a music producer, how do you grow your brand? It's like, if you look at some of the famous producers that are in, like hip hop and R&B right now, or have been for the last 30 years, if you look like the guys like Dr. Dre or DJ Khaled or something like that, why do you think that those guys are separated from all the other people that are making it? Anybody got an answer to that? It's basically because they have branded themselves. Okay, like what is DJ Khaled's catchphrase? I know you guys are in high school. You know this.
Major key. Another one. All that because he got into a meme that he just took advantage of it.
Exactly, and he's done that a lot of ways through video content. He was a guy that he always put himself on a song, and then he also would put himself in the music videos doing exactly that line, another one. And it became a thing where people don't always know producers. You know what I mean? It's like if you think about your 10 most favorite records, do you know every producer? Now you guys might, because you're in this class and you're studying for this kind of thing. But think about do you know who produced, is there anyone that you don't know? And you kind of think, okay, well, who is this person? And you may even know a name, but if you pull that guy's name out of the air, could you pick him out of a lineup? Or if you saw him in the grocery store, would you recognize that person? Kind of what that DJ Khaled did, what Dr. Dre did, is they made themselves not exactly even an artist, because it's not that they couldn't do it, but it's like they were like, I know what my talent is, but I'm going to put myself out there that way. Everybody knows me and everybody wants to work with me. They almost made a celebrity of themselves, and it made their bank accounts go tenfold. Now, not to say, those guys are absolutely talented. They're good at doing what they do, but it definitely, the video element of that helped it out. So look at that kind of thing and figure out what are ways that I can be making video content that's going to help me get to the place that I'm going. So let me ask you guys this: are you guys looking at resumes and looking at jobs at this point? Has anyone started doing that? Because you guys are a couple months away from being out of high school. Because I think most of you guys are seniors this year.
I've been working for 3 years. So
okay, right on. So as you're putting all that together, how are you changing that as you progress through your career right now?
I don't have an answer for that, because
that's okay.
It doesn't affect my job. Doesn't affect with my career wise. Once I don't have work, I'm just working on other stuff for school. So,
well, the cool thing about right now is you guys, all can have a pretty fresh plate, and it doesn't it doesn't harm you if you're doing anything. So like if you're working at a grocery store, that's going to be fine. If you're working at a job as an intern at a record label, that may be a better situation. But all of it is developing a work ethic, and all is putting that document together to say like, hey, this is what I've done. I would encourage everyone there, like, find the things that you do. So right now, like, you want to be a record producer. Have you produced anything while you're in school? Like, have you found any people there at your school or in town that you could actually do a record with?
Yeah. Well, I'm the one with the studio, but yeah, I've made tracks with friends that are talented, I'll say.
Yeah, that's perfect. So out of that, whenever you guys have done that song, have you turned any of that into video content?
Only like visuals.
Okay.
Just
I would encourage
stuff.
you next time that you record, make a documentary like about what you're doing. Like just have, and it doesn't even have to be you being the one that holds the camera. Like give it to someone that's there with you and direct them on like, hey, record a little bit of this, record a little bit of that, and then cut it together. I know we were looking at all the Adobe stuff before, this all started recording. Have you guys got into editing? Like what are you using in class to get these certifications?
I'm using Premiere Pro.
Okay.
I'm using either Premiere Pro or Rush.
You guys have pretty good knowledge of this stuff already, as far as like how to put it together. Like, there's no reason you can't start putting that together. I know a little bit before, like there was some of you guys that are into sports. So who was I talking to earlier that was a baseball player?
That's me.
Okay, right on. So have you made any highlight reel stuff for yourself?
It's not letting me. There we go. Sorry, it wouldn't let me unmute. No, not yet.
Okay. So that's the thing that I would encourage you to do, because here's the thing. So like you want to play ball, like are you wanting to go to college to play baseball?
No. I want to study exercise science in college.
Okay, right on. So even with that, like kind of one of the things, if you think about like the people that have made a big impact in that community, like I think what you can look at is, again, a lot of them go to video content. You know what I mean? Like the people that are like, whether it's like lifting weights or if they're doing cardio or whatever it is that they're trying to do, like a lot of those people are putting their video stuff out on YouTube. If you look at like look at the last 30 years, there's a girl on YouTube. She has a channel called Yoga by Adrienne. And like she basically started out doing like yoga by herself, videotaping it and putting it on the internet. She has turned it into a multi-million-dollar empire. You know what I mean? It's like, and she's able to get book deals, and she's got these people that are subscribing to an ongoing video content on her app and things like that. And this isn't anything new. You know what I mean? It's like this has been going on forever. Does anyone know who Billy Blanks is? Kickboxing guy, had a big video series called Tai Bo. Before that, there was Richard Simmons, which was a guy with big frizzy hair, and he had all the Dancing to the Oldies videos. Sold millions upon millions upon millions of those things, and helped a lot of people. I mean, that's the thing about all these people. It's like they're helping people get in shape, put themselves together, and like learn this discipline about getting better. Even like right now, it's like, did any of you guys watch the Super Bowl this past weekend?
Yeah.
Okay, right on. So no matter how you felt about like who won or who lost, if you look at like Tom Brady and like his whole where he's heading in the next part, whenever his NFL career is done, he's got this program right now called TB12 that he's putting together and basically showing people how to train. But the way that they're selling that product, that they're teaching that, is they're using it with video. They're teaching people how to do it by video. And so you got to look at, like, again, how your career is heading and like what can you be doing right now to learn the ins and outs of it. Now, you may decide that you don't want to be your own video guy, and that's fine. But kind of what is like, if you have a general knowledge of what works and what doesn't work, how the stuff is used, how long it takes, you could talk to the people that are doing that content for you down the road and have a general understanding of it. You don't have to be proficient in every single thing. You just have to know enough to be dangerous and enough to know that, like, hey, this is taking too long, or this should have already happened, or you kind of know how to make a good shot or a bad shot because you've studied it in school before. So I don't know, like, I think about whenever it comes to sports, especially, like, there's so many cool jobs in video anyways. Outside of exercise, I've got a friend who worked for he worked for the Golden State Warriors, and whenever they were kind of on their championship run, and it was one of those things where like he was able to work with them, get really close to the game. Whenever they won a championship, he gets a championship ring. Like he's right there in the middle of it, and doing all of those, doing all those games and seeing all that history happen right in front of him. And it's like that's a job that's out there. I know, like me here in town, it's like we do a thing at NECAT where we work with the Nashville Predators and Willie Donick and Pete Weber, who are their play-by-play people that, one for the radio, one for television. They come to NECAT every year and are part of a camp that we do. More recently, like right before Christmas, we did a program with them where it was online, where they just kind of did a big talk back, kind of like what I'm doing with you guys, but like we invited students in there and they gave them some insight on like how to get a job in professional sports, how to get a job, working for a pro hockey team. And, one of those guys before that, like they worked for, 20 plus years working with the Buffalo Bills in the NFL. So it's just like, there's opportunity to do that, outside of like, I don't know. It's like, I think a lot about like, there's kids that you play the game and then at a certain point, you graduate, and I don't know. I know for me, it's like there was a day where I went out and played baseball whenever I left. I didn't know it was the last time I was going to play, but like, that's just kind of how it went. But you're able to stay closer to it if you can find a spot between it. Have any of you guys ever been to like a Nashville Sounds game?
Yeah.
Okay. So like next time you're at a Sounds game, when you're back together, like look behind home plate. Okay. There's almost always one, if not two, cameras back there taping the pitchers. And, that person's job basically is to make sure that all that stuff is framed up, that video is there, that content's put together. And they take that video and they send it to literally every one of their major league affiliates, because when that guy gets to the pros, they want to know what his pitching is like. That's a job that like sports teams have for people that do video content. You're literally there going to every game, just, you're watching that stuff, you're taking it, you're talking to the pitchers, you're walking them through like, here's all the stuff. Whenever he gets in this situation, this is what he's going to throw. It's a coaching job of sorts. It's a trainer's job of sorts. But like for everybody that you see on the team, there's all these other people that are working behind the scenes to help those guys be the best that they can be. That's a job that's available to you if you want it. You know what I mean? It's like, and there's ways to get down that road. I mean, there's obviously the stuff that, broadcasting the games, doing all that stuff like you're watching on TV. But that job isn't something you're going to see on television. That's something that's just one-on-one video content where you're taping that stuff, and then you're working with hitters or working with pitchers to show them what they're doing or what can be done against the person that you're taping. So I don't know, just start looking for that video content. Think about like what do I want to do whenever this is all, said and done. If any of you guys want to be an artist, like I had someone yesterday who had some video experience and they're trying to break as an artist. Like they're trying to record music, put stuff out there. And they were like, well, I don't know what, they're like, who do I get to do this? And I was like, you literally can do this yourself. Like you're at a point in your situation where like right now we're all stuck at home. Most people, have access to a camera of some sort. It's like I don't expect everyone has a phone, but a lot of people do at this point. And if you don't have one, usually you have a friend that does. You really can go out, shoot video on a phone right now, put it together on a computer, upload it on the internet, and blow up. You know what I mean? Between Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, things like that. And all of that is helping build your own personal branding. Whether you're a baseball player, whether you're an artist, whether you're a music producer, whatever, if you're putting yourself out front and letting people know like, hey, I'm over here doing this, people are going to start paying attention. They're going to start seeing you as that person. So a lot of times, especially I think when you're young, you kind of, and you guys are probably going through this a little bit just at the age you're at, where it's like, you feel the need to like, you want to grow up a little bit. You want to take on more responsibility. I mean, you probably want your parents out of your business a little bit more than they are in it and whatnot. And a lot of times, like the perception of the world, it's like if you've always been, little Johnny down the street, they're always going to see you like that way. But the thing is, whenever you use that video content to change people's perception of you by putting it out in the world, all of a sudden they're going to be like, oh, I know that guy. He's a ball player. I've got a friend named Bull. He plays for the Harlem Globetrotters, and I did a documentary about a former Globetrotter just a couple years ago. But I've remained friends with Bull, and kind of one of the things that he does, even through this pandemic, where the Globetrotters for the first time in like 80 years, they can't tour, they can't go play basketball. He's putting out videos of himself doing trick shots and dunks and all this stuff, and he's growing his brand. He's staying relevant right now, even whenever he can't go out and play basketball the way that he's always done it, because he's letting people still know, like, he's still active, he's still playing, he's still ready to go when the time comes. So be thinking about that stuff, like, as you're consuming video. You know what I mean? Like, next time you get on YouTube, like, think about, how do people make this stuff? Sometimes it's just as simple as, like, they got with their friends, got a cell phone and shot some video. When it comes to the movie, obviously there's a lot more that goes into it, as far as like the planning of it and producing of it. There's someone's got to write the thing, there's someone's got to put the set together. All of those are the kind of jobs that you can get on this, but not just because you don't want that job doesn't mean that video is not going to be important in your life. Is anyone here moving into like just communications in general as they go into college? Or let me ask you guys, just a couple, what are you guys planning on doing after school? I've heard we've got a music producer. We got someone that's going into, like, is it kinesiology? Is that a safe bet?
It's exercise science, so basically kinesiology, yeah.
Okay, right on. What about you other guys?
I'm planning on taking extra practice in college for digital design and maybe motion graphics. And then after that, I might freelance or join a business.
Yep. Still waiting on the last one. That's cool if we don't have it. So let's talk about digital design and that. So, like, you're basically getting into a situation where I can tell you, because I've been in that job market, what people are looking for right now when it comes to design is being able to do video content. The thing about Adobe mashing all this stuff together, where After Effects, Photoshop, what used to be Final Cut has all switched over to Premiere. But people are expecting you to be able to not only design graphics, but put that stuff into motion, and make basically animation. So you got to start thinking to yourself, like, okay, what can I be doing that right now, like, to separate myself, from everybody else? Think about that whenever you're making your own personal stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, just practice at it. Figure out what you think looks cool. Start, keeping I don't know. It's weird because, like, if you look at certain stuff, you ever notice how, like, things start to look the same? Like, if something gets popular, like, if you see a movie and the movie does really well, and then the next year you see another movie and the poster kind of looks the same way, the reason that they're doing that is because they want you to think about the other deal. You really just kind of have to start looking at the world in that perspective. Like, whenever you see these ads on the internet that are popping up in the sidebars, what does that stuff look like? Because that's the kind of stuff they're going to ask you to design whenever you're first starting out. But that's probably not where you want to go. I can't imagine, like, you're thinking, like, oh man, I want to just make insurance ads to run on the side of videos for the rest of my life. Like, you probably got some ideas about what you want to make. What is it that you really want to make with that job?
Well, I've got some ideas like surreal art or like just basic animations if I can get to it, because After Effects is a real pain and I got to get used to it.
It can be, part of it is getting the practice in. I can tell you this, man, like, if you get to the other side or you get to summer, I don't know what your situation is at home as far as your computer and all that, because a lot of times what ties people back is the cost of entry can be a lot to get a computer that's going to run everything the way you want it to run and to kick it out. We've got that stuff up at NECAT. So, like, we run both all the Adobe suite up there. We've got 4 different stations that you can use. We also run Sony Vegas for anyone that's still, on that. But you can come up and you can work on our computers at no cost to you. You basically just call ahead and say, hey, Cameron, I want to come up on this day. We book one of the suites for you, and you can go in there and work on stuff and practice on stuff and just try to get it together. I would encourage you, like, if that's what you're trying to make, like, that's the stuff you should be making right now. You know what I mean? It's like, because the thing about any kind of, like, when it comes to, like, surreal art especially, like, you really can't be wrong, because it's just whatever's coming out of your brain. Now, you can look at it yourself and kind of go, oh man, that's not up to speed with what I was trying to do. And at that point, like, you just make it again and make it better, get it closer and closer. And repetition is the thing, man. It's like, it turns into the situation where you can make something and it won't be like, you'll have a plan for it. You will have actually went in, wrote it all down. So this is what I'm trying to accomplish. You'll go out and test some things. You'll put it all together and you'll go, like, that's okay. I did a good job here. I could have made a grade on this. But it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. I encourage you at that point, take whatever you learn from that and make another project, whether it be like exactly trying to remake that or just moving on to the next thing and taking those skills and putting it in there. You'll get better and better. I was telling a class last week, like, so when I was in high school, I had a video that was basically due for a school project, and it really was like, hey, they wanted us to do a report. We're like, we want to do a video project, and so I did this project, and like on the tape, I'm seriously like in this just bad outfit, big curly hair. There's these like these two guys behind me dancing as if they're cockroaches, okay? And like it was for a bug spray commercial, and that's what we made. It's absolutely like cringy and embarrassing. Like if it ever got out on the internet, people would, they would laugh forever about it. And at the time, I was proud of it the week we were making it, and then like afterwards, it's kind of, it's like it's funny, but like you're kind of like, oh man, that's kind of embarrassing. A couple years later, you kind of look at yourself and you go like, oh man, that was really technically bad. But the thing is, I didn't stay in that spot. I kept doing it. I kept making stuff over and over and over again. And now I can look back at it and just kind of laugh because I just kind of goes like, that's where I started. If I would have never made anything else, that would have been the best thing that I would have ever made. And it was awful. But like after years and years, it's like I can kind of look back and say, if I don't start there, I don't get to where I'm at right now. So a lot of what you guys have to do in the moment is just start making stuff and like, it's just know that it's okay to suck at it right now. You know what I mean? More than anything else, like you kind of have permission to go out and try things and, really just kind of work on your craft, like think about things that are funny, put it all together, really plan for it though. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that one of the things that really gets lost is like the idea of pre-production, because if you were to go in, like there's a lot of times you say, hey, I'm going to turn the video camera on my friend and see if something funny happens. And sometimes it will, but oftentimes it's not. Like you might find it humorous in the moment, but people don't want to watch it. And there are literally millions and millions of hours of that kind of stuff on YouTube that people have uploaded. But if you take a moment and kind of say, okay, we're going to develop this comedy bit, just kind of say, we're going to do this. You plan it out a little bit. Maybe you make plans for a costume, or who's ever seen the video of the guys like where they like run over all the video games with a lawnmower? Like his dad's doing it. And he goes crazy. Has anyone seen this video?
Yeah. The channel is Angry Grandpa, I believe.
Yep.
And
so
then
all
he passed away.
When it came out, people thought like this was a real thing that was happening. All that stuff had been planned. It had all been written. It had all been planned out. You know what I mean? And it blew up. And that guy was able to like kind of start his, at the time, like his YouTube career by putting that stuff out there. The audience didn't know that it was all, more or less faked, but they had really taken some time to plan out how this was going to go, where the camera shots were going to be. And they kind of figured like, this will be funny because of this. All that happened in the pre-planning. Now, in the moment, funny is funny, and things are going to happen. But they knew exactly where. When you see a prank video, why do you think they know where to point the camera? It's because a lot of that stuff is already, it's already planned out. They don't tell you that because they want you to think it's a secret. But be thinking about that as you make your own stuff. Like really spend a little time planning something. I encourage you all, go out, whatever it is you're trying to make, like make a plan for it. Go out, do your best job actually making it, put it together, and then really dissect it at the end. Like it's hard sometimes to hear that things are bad, but sometimes what you need to do is really be honest with yourself and say, okay, this part of that worked and this part of it didn't work, and that's how you get better. If you say, okay, we got the lighting down, we got the camera moved down, but this is like blurry, or this joke wasn't funny. If you're really honest with yourself and you kind of like and can take that that little bit of hit to your ego because it didn't work exactly how you wanted to, and turn it into the next part of it, you're going to be a better person for it. You're going to be a better filmmaker for it. You're going to be able to make things all around better because you can look at that and take yourself out of it in the moment and make it better the next time. Just because you suck at it right now doesn't mean that you will forever. That's what you have to know, but you have to keep doing it, to make that happen. So let me ask you guys this: like, is there anything that you're wanting to do, or that you like that you just have questions about? Like, because as you're getting close to the other side of it, obviously you're heading towards college, you're heading towards careers, you're heading towards all that stuff. Like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've made movies, I've made music videos, I've made television. Like, I've been able to, it's like I pay my bills and feed my kids doing this kind of thing. Is there any questions you have for me about stuff that may be, that you just don't know about, or stuff that you're worried about, or stuff, like anything that I can maybe answer a question for you? Nothing? Cool. That's fine. I just, like really part of this is like, I just want to be here to encourage you more than anything else. It's like get you to a point where you can, break out. I really do hope that any and all of you will come down to NECAT, whenever we're back open again, get involved down there and try something on. Like, I don't know, like it's interesting to me to see people not only making stuff down in the studio, but like if you come down there and get that training, go out and make something in the world and bring it back to us where we can put it on television. That way you can build that resume up and kind of say like, hey, I worked on a show, it ran on TV, people saw it, they seemed to like it. Like, I want you guys to bring me that stuff as you move, through this next little part. So is everybody here a senior?
No, I'm a junior. I think I'm the only
You're a junior. Yeah, we're fine. So yeah, I mean, again, like with the summer coming up, not too far down the road. I know it's hard to believe on a day like this where it's so cold outside. But like, I am hoping that we're going to be back in studio over there. I know obviously schools aren't doing field trips right now, so you guys didn't get the chance to come to NECAT this year like you would have historically. But next year, hopefully you'll be able to come visit us, during the regular time frame. But in between, if you decide like you want to get an early start, you can hit me up and we'll put you in a program over there. Again, that's all like Ascend Federal Credit Union is covering all of the cost of that, which usually like there's a yearly membership and a class fee and all that stuff. They cover all that for you guys because they want you to be able to take advantage of this situation. And again, if it's like, hey, you may not want to do, the regular production class, if you just want to learn something about, about editing or use the Adobe suites, we can set you up on that. We have a guy that's at our studio that works for the Metro government. He does all of our audio stuff. He is a Belmont graduate. We've got a full like Pro Tools rig down there. We have done some recordings for people like there at the studio. So it's kind of one of those things like if you just want to try something in a bigger room, that's something that's also possible. It's like we're really branching out right now and trying to find ways that we can reach all the different people in the community by doing not only television production and movie production, but things like podcasts, things like recording people's, bands, trying to put that, kind of stuff together. So he's Adam is the guy that's down there. I know he's always happy to do like one-on-one training with people that are, getting a start in. It's a good way to go just to get a different mindset than what you probably already have by yourself. Because if you got a home studio, that's awesome, man. Because like you kind of are ahead of the game, and that you're getting to get in there and really start doing this. But what I would encourage you to do is go out into the world and be anywhere else that you can be. So if you could be in another studio, just watch someone else do it, do that. If you come down to our place, make something there just to see like, hey, if I change this up, if I'm not in my own environment, how is that going to push me? What am I going to learn? And you will, like every different person that you work with over the years, it'll kind of change your mindset. That's what's happened with me is like, I've got a crew of people that I've worked with for years and years. And we do it that way because we have shorthand. We know each other. We know what we want from each other, what we expect of each other. But also on every project, we try to pull in a couple of different people that we've never worked with before because they teach us things that we didn't know. It's like I'll be 40 years old this year. I'm still learning every day. It's like I don't, the only thing that I know is that I don't know anything, or at least that I don't know everything. And I think if you take that attitude, when it comes to your production, you're gonna be leaps and bounds better. Because right now, I mean, I would assume, it's like you're probably listening to a ton of records and kind of going like, how did they do that? Or why did they do that? Really breaking that stuff down. Be thinking about, like, well, okay, well, who can I reach out to that may have already done this before? It's like I tell all of my students, like, if you kind of know where you're going, it's a good time to start reaching out to people and talking to them about how they got to where, they got, because that's where you're trying to go. And, it's like, I know, like, sometimes whenever you're 16, 17, 18, you may not exactly know where you're trying to go, but sometimes talking to those people will help you get there. And also talking to those people may make you decide, oh, that's not a job that I want anymore. So I would encourage you guys, like, reach out to people that are in your community. If you have, family members that are doing any of these jobs or know anyone, talk to them. I tell people all the time, I know it's, it kind of sounds old fashioned, but like build a LinkedIn account, like, and start like looking for professionals that do the thing that you want to do. Everybody is on that thing. And it's like, usually if you reach out and say, hey, I'm a student, I'm just about to graduate, I want to be in this spot in 4 years or 5 years or whatever, how do I get there? A lot of people will take the time and just kind of and walk you through their conversation of like how they got to where, they were going. And the truth of it is, like, every journey is different. Every road, takes a different path. it's like you won't go exactly the way they went, but they can sometimes, point you in the right direction or say, hey, don't spend your time going down that path because it's not going to lead where you think it's going to go. And so I really would encourage you all, like at this point, like make a list, like really like sit down, not for a class assignment. I'm not trying to give you guys homework to do on, to turn back in. I really want you just to think to yourself, like, where do I want to be? Like where do I want to be 1 year from now? Where do I want to be 5 years from now? And where do I want to be 10 years from now? And like really think about like if it's like if you want to take a trip and you want to go see the world, put that on your list. If you decide like, hey, I want to be a music producer, I want to go to this, I want to go to SAE and graduate, and I want to be on the other side of this, like making this kind of money or whatever. Put all that stuff down. Really like start dreaming on paper about what you want to be, and then think like, okay, who do I talk to get to these spaces? And like as you guys are about to find out, and some of you probably already have done this, but like you'll start talking to people as you visit these schools. You'll talk to probably your advisor there at the high school, the people that are doing like college entrance. You'll have that meeting with somebody. You'll have, as you like say, take on jobs. You'll have job interviews. The thing that I learned a long time ago when it comes to a job interview, if you go in because you are, it's like everybody needs to have a job because you need to earn income to keep your life running. But if you can take it from the position of this is what I want in life, and I want to make sure that this company is a good fit for my life, as opposed to I need to make sure I can fit into the hole that this company has because I need that job. If you find that the in between of that, where you're happy with where you're working, where you feel like you're contributing to society, you're going to be all around a better, happier person. Because I have had jobs that suck, and man, it's terrible. Like if you think about like the worst class that you have right now, okay, whatever teacher it is that you don't like, or whatever classmate you don't like sitting beside when you're back in school, all of those things magnified, because it's not like just a 1 or 2 hour class that it's a couple days a week. It's all day, every day for sometimes 30 years, like that you're looking at, where you may be sitting next to somebody and have to deal with that person, or have to deal with someone else being your boss. It's like, so you want to make sure that you're putting yourself in the best position to win for that. Figure out what it is you want. That's kind of where that starts. Once you know what you want, then you can go out and start trying to find it. There's an idea that like proximity to something is what's going to get you to the next place. So if you want to be a painter, who do you hang out with? You hang out with painters. If you want to be a music producer, you should probably hang out with some music producers, or at least some musicians, to kind of see what they're doing. If you want to play a sport, like you got to get on a team. You got to hang out with those people and see how the game works. All of those things are true, no matter what you decide you want to do. But the truth of it is, until you know what it is where you're trying to go, you don't know who to hang out with. I know my best friend for most of high school was my best friend because whenever we were 5 years old, we sat at the same table next to each other, and we just remained best friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to have people like that. But the truth is, we took drastically different paths whenever we got to be adults. And at that point, you have to start choosing who your friends are, choosing who you're going to be around, choosing what's going to be a good influence or a bad influence on you, and what's going to get you to the place that you're trying to go. So as you guys get to college and you start figuring out like what clubs are you going to join, are you going to be in a fraternity? Are you going to join, these study groups? Like look at how all those different things interact with each other, and know that like all that's going to dictate where your life is heading in the next couple of years. So be aware of that as you start putting them together. And again, more than anything, man, like just start making stuff. That's the best thing I can tell you, is like start making stuff and let it be okay that it's not good. If you don't like it, show it to a couple friends anyways. Get some feedback like I talked about. Let them be honest with you. Let them tell you. It's like if they tell you that they don't like it or they tell you it's bad, don't get mad at them. Just ask them why. Say, why is this bad? Tell me, because I want to make it better. And then go back, try it again, and do it again until you can get to a point where you're happy with it. And that's basically the goal. But I feel like we've got just a couple minutes left here. Again, I want to open up if you guys have any questions for me, or if there's anything you want to ask about NECAT in general, about doing projects over there or getting training over there. I'm happy to answer it. I'd say I'm on email, Cameron@necatnetwork.org. Our website's necatnetwork.org. A lot of times you can get the answers there, but if you need something, you can always hit me up by email. But is there anything I can answer in the chat right now before we get done with this?
Yeah, there's nothing in the chat right now. You know, with the podcast world kind of going from not only podcast to video podcasts, like is there do you guys get a lot of that stuff at NECAT?
So that's actually one of the things. Right before the pandemic started, we installed what they call PTZ cameras. And PTZ camera is a little camera that's under a glass dome. You can control it all from an iPad, with the idea being that it does record, and at the end of it, like, it will kick out both a video and an audio thing. So you can make a podcast right there at NECAT as a video podcast and have a separate audio file ready to go. We're set up for that. It was so funny because, like, this would have been probably in like January or February of last year. The technical team that was there was telling me about it. They were like, yeah, there's this new program. It's going to be really cool. It's called Zoom. No one knows about it. And this is how you record this stuff. And then here we are to the pandemic. Everybody knows how to use Zoom now because we're all using it. But we are set up there, in studio. So, like, if someone wanted to record a podcast or a video podcast, they could come up, interview people both in studio, or if you've got someone that's in another place, they can record from there and put it all to, like, say, a multi-track system. You can mix it all up or down there. You can do all the post work, there at NECAT. It's all available to anyone. So that's a brand new thing that, like, we had just got rolling whenever all this kind of stuff hit. So as soon as we get back, it's all there for everyone to enjoy.
Cool. So yeah, if you guys want to venture into that stuff, but yeah, NECAT's always a fun deal. Y'all that have done it have always had a good time. So yeah, I think it's a great thing what they're doing. And if you need computers, whenever they're finally fully functional, when Nashville State gives them the green light, I would encourage y'all to, especially if you're rocking with a laptop that doesn't quite meet your standards as far as being able to run programs without locking up completely, I would encourage y'all to go over there and try stuff. I mean, his advice is really good. You just got to put stuff out there. Eventually somebody will buy it. It's like fishing. The more you throw it out there, the more reps you get. Your product gets better. You understand the process, and then eventually somebody will take notice, and you'll just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. So, one of my side gigs right now is a podcast, and y'all know about it. Cam, I haven't talked to you about this yet, but I have a podcast that I do, and I it started out just something that I did as a hobby with my friends, and then now it kind of turned into, okay, now I'm on a network, and then okay, well, we're not getting any advertising, so we're still doing it for free, but we're on a network now, and then eventually now we got a couple sponsors, and it's still low dollars, but somebody's paying me to talk on Apple Podcasts, so eventually it'll double and triple, and eventually it'll snowball, and it just the more reps you do,
yep,
the better, and so I think that's probably the best point that Cameron made all day was just do stuff, just create. It doesn't matter what it is. You got a phone in your pocket. You got Premiere Rush. You got access to that already. It's a great simple editor. Obviously, you can't do a lot of the cool effects that Premiere Pro allows you to do, but Premiere Rush is a great basic editor, and I think it's a cool thing to have, to be able to pull your camera out, shoot a sequence, pull it into Premiere Rush, and produce it. So, and that you have access to on all platforms. So, I think somebody just drove by. Dogs are going absolutely bonkers. So, Cam, thank you for coming, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. I enjoyed the conversation, and good luck to everybody, on the other side of school. If I can ever help, just reach out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, and just a quick scheduling note for you guys. Next week, I will not see you live until Thursday. So Wednesday, obviously Monday you're off. Tuesday's an asynchronous day like it always is. And because freshmen are coming back on Thursday, Wednesday will be an asynchronous day as well. So we will have 2 asynchronous days before I see you again online. So get your projects finished, the Adobe Spark post, and the B-roll, the B-roll challenge. Obviously, if you haven't done that, and then the the Foley Sound Challenge that's out there too, the scavenger hunt. So make sure you get all that stuff done. You have plenty of time to work on it. We won't see you again until Thursday. So hopefully it's done and we can talk about kind of how it went for you. So that being said, you guys can take off and